You know, in the luxury space, newcomer Genesis has really been making a big splash in waters that have some pretty big sharks in it, like Lexus, like Mercedes, like BMW, and of course, like Audi. Now, one of the vehicles that a lot of consumers and dealers have been hotly anticipating is the company's first ever SUV. Now, I tested the 2021 Genesis GV80 in California back in October, and that was the 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6. And as you can see, right behind me is the 2021 Genesis GV80. However, this one here is equipped with the base engine, the company's 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, which is the same engine that you'll also find in something like the Kia Sorento, the Hyundai Sonata N-Line, and of course the Kia K5 GT. So if you guys are looking to buy a new $50,000 mid-size luxury SUV and you're looking for something that's a little bit more modestly priced, that offers a lot of European features, and it also kind of looks like a Bentley, how does the 2021 Genesis GV80 with the four-cylinder stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So one of the cool features about the Genesis GV80 is the fact that you have this active park assist feature that allows you to move the vehicle forward and back by maybe a couple feet if you guys are trapped in a tight parking spot because somebody blocked you in. You can access it from, of course, from the remote fob. I can also back the car up, which if you push and hold this back button, you can see she starts to go into reverse. And as long as I hold this button, the car will back up on its own. It's a really cool feature, something that will really impress your friends. No, the car cannot extricate itself out of a parking lot and come to you from across town, but it's a cool gimmick that, of course, Tesla started, BMW also offers, and now Genesis, of course. So once you're done showing off to your friends about that cool little parking gimmick, how does the styling of the GV80 stack up? Well, this is a car that very much has its own brand identity. I really like what Genesis is doing here, of course, with the styling. I think it's very unique. I think it also stands out, and it really resembles a Bentley, but maybe even a better looking Bentley Bentayga. You can see my particular tester here is the 2.5T equipped with the Prestige upgrade package. For $8,750, it basically is the most fully loaded GV80 you can buy. It's also painted in this interesting shade of Lima red, which is like a Bordeaux dark red. It's a burgundy color. Not my cup of tea in terms of red. I wish Genesis would have offered a much brighter red, kind of like a Soul Red Crystal that Mazda offers. But you can see this is one handsome looking SUV that really continues to stand out. I mean, check out the Genesis grille, their crest grille with the 5 points, the chrome. It is very, very blingy. You have these quad beam full LED headlights, which are standard. As you guys saw, you have an LED turn signal, LED daytime running lights, LED low and high beams. No fog lights on the Genesis models, on the newer versions, of course. But this is an SUV that continues to stand out. And I also think it has much better proportions versus the similarly sized Genesis G80 sedan, which is built off of the same platform. Now, around the side profile, you can see at 116 inches long for the wheelbase, this is a mid-size SUV with an available third row if you guys go for the V6, and its overall length at 196 inches long is a little bit shorter than some of the longer three-row competitors. You can see, looking at the wheels, this Prestige model should have a 22-inch wheel option riding on 265 with tires, but for some reason, my tester has a 20-inch wheel. These are the same wheels that you find on the Advanced package. It is an upgrade from the 19-inch wheel that you find on the base GV80. But really, I love the proportions of this car with the chrome, with those two vertical lines that are, again, mimicked on the fenders, which are carried over from the headlights and the taillights. Above me, you can see panoramic sunroof is standard on this particular trim. I like the chrome trim, although I wish Genesis will offer, I hope Genesis will offer a sport package that blacks out all the chrome trim at a later date. Looking at the rear, you can see same design with the quad full LED taillights, very distinctive look. You have the Genesis logo spelled out on the back, and then you have these exhaust tips which kind of mimic the crest grille, which again gives this car a very unique styling element. Now, when you open up the trunk of the GV80, it has that smart trunk feature. If I stand back here for 3 seconds, it'll open it, or you can push that little button over here. You can see opening up the cargo area. This particular one here is the four-cylinder, so it doesn't offer the third row, but you get 34 cubic feet of space with the second row seat up. If you fold down the second row, which you can actually do from a button back here, which is really nice, you get around 84 cubic feet of space. This is one of the largest in the segment, folks, and it really makes the GV80 equally practical, which is nice. You can see there's some nice aluminum trim, metal trim that finishes off the rear cargo area. And then if you look underneath here, Genesis does offer a little bit of storage, although some competitors like the new MDX offer a little bit more under-seat or underfloor storage. So obviously the exterior of the GV80 continues to be very distinctive, but what about the interior? In a luxury car, this is where you're going to be judging the vehicle very, very closely. And as you can see, my tester here with this beige leather, the brown combination, the seats that adjust in 16 different ways, they're quilted in this very premium Napa leather. My driver's side is also heated and cooled and massaging. The front passenger seat is lacking the massage, but it is also heated and cooled. These are some of the most comfortable seats that I've sat in. And really, it makes the GV80 feel like a much more expensive car than it actually is. Now check out the interior of this particular one here, guys. I mean, compared to the last 3.5T that I tested, it practically looks identical. The seats are so pillowy and cushy. I love the fact that they give you these little buttons here where you can adjust the passenger side seat from the driver's side over here, where I don't have to reach over to actually grab the seat controls. And I really love the overall design. You can see there's a massive 14.5-inch touchscreen there. This steering wheel looks pretty interesting. Some of you have told me that it's ugly and you won't have it. I would have to agree with you, but you can't argue that it's really comfortable, and it's also very, very different. The door panels also have this beautiful design detail with the metal speaker covers, the metal trim, the real wood, the real stitched leather, even on the lower portion here of the door panel. And it just really sounds good. When I shut the door also sounds nice and solid, which really gives you that feeling of quality. And you can see steering wheel, power, tilt, and telescoping, which is really, really nice. Now looking at the key fob, you can see I showed you the key earlier. It is a very nice feeling key. It even has this very nice premium material on it. You can see it's got remote start, and you can activate the automatic parking system of this vehicle. The button to fire up the engine is back here on the dash. And compared to the V6 model, the one thing you're going to notice on the interior is you cannot get that 3D instrument cluster you can get on the V6 with the Prestige model. Instead, you have kind of like this half and half, where you have this LCD screen over here for the TAC and the center display, and then there's an analog speedometer over there and fuel gauge. I kind of wish that Genesis would have just given us the full LCD cluster. I just don't think that that right there is necessary. It looks a little bit strange, but at least they give you some kind of digital screen, because when you turn on the turn signals, this is where you're going to access the blind view camera system, which shows you exactly what's in your blind spot whenever you flip the turn signal left or right. In terms of the materials, you can see there's genuine leather stitching on the dash. Love this massive screen here. It is actually a touch screen, for those of you guys who are wondering. It is a far reach to access the touch screen, or you can also use this little Genesis controller knob over here, which swirls around, and you can kind of push the buttons in the center of it to select what you'd like. The graphics and the screen and the layout of this is all very nice. It works very well. It's very quick. It's very snappy. You can see going to the GPS. It's got a massive screen where it's got this two-screen layout as well. So you can put your different audio information here, or your full GPS screen, which is really nice. When you go over to the CarPlay here, you can see there's your Apple CarPlay, which doesn't take up the entire screen, but it doesn't need to, because of the fact that this is so large. You can basically just enjoy the CarPlay and then have other information stuff like radio or GPS on the right side of the screen. I love how the border goes almost all the way to the edge of the screen, which really makes it look high-tech. I think that Genesis really knocked it out of the park there. When you put the vehicle in reverse, you can see there's your full top-down 360 camera with excellent resolution. This is, again, a very, very nice system. You can push this over here and it'll show you an actual car to kind of show you, when you're parallel parking, where the actual side and the tires are of the vehicle. So again, very nice detail here that you typically find in the European brands. And it's nice to see Genesis really pushing the envelope there. Now looking at the steering wheel, you can see it's got a nice 9-3 grip, very high quality leather. You have metal paddle shifters, lots of different buttons. The horn also sounds pretty nice. It doesn't sound cheap like I've tested in some competitors, and even the door panels here are all really high quality. You have metal window switches here. The windows are one touch up and down for all four. The mirrors also are electrically folding, which is nice. It's what you kind of expect. And then over here, you can see a nice screen here that shows your tri-zone climate control that you get with the Prestige model. You have heated and cooled seats, like I said, and a heated steering wheel. That's all very nice. I like the way this screen looks. I like the fact that your phone can hide in here with the wireless charger. USB, two USB ports over here. Surprisingly, the CarPlay and Android Auto is not wireless. I hope Genesis eventually fixes that for the 2022 model year. I think that at this price point, it should be wireless. I don't know why I still have to plug in my phone. Nice cup holder area over here, beautiful wood. Love the controller here for the Genesis controller. It gives you a volume knob or a volume wheel and a tuning wheel. This also rotates around and has a really nice high quality precision. This is of course controlling your 8-speed automatic. I love the glass shifter. I love that it illuminates. You twist it to the left to go to reverse, twist it to the right to go to drive, push P to go to park. Your drive mode selector is over here along with a downhill assist control system. You can see there's a sport drive mode, a custom, a comfort, and an eco mode, which we'll try out the different driving modes later on during the test drive. And then this padded area here is really nice. Big storage as well. It's nice and felt lined in there, but no additional power outlets, which kind of surprised me. There's only 2 USB ports in the front of this vehicle. Now, over at the glove box, you can see it's a decent size. It's stamped and lined with felt. You can see there's some beautiful interior accent lighting in here, which Genesis allows you to change the color. It kind of accentuates into the door panels as well. And then you also have LED lighting over here on the overhead map pockets, and then you can see my tester with the panoramic sunroof is nice, although I wish that Genesis kind of made it one piece instead of giving us this little bar that kind of breaks up the panel roof. So overall, the interior, even the 4-cylinder model, still has a very nice luxury classy ambience to it, and really the only thing you are missing, of course, is the heads-up display and the full digital 3D cluster that you find in the V6 version. Now this particular one here only has the second row seats. There's no third row on the 4-cylinder, but because Genesis was able to focus on just giving us a second row that is spacious, you're gonna find a lot of room back here. Genesis says you get around 38.9 inches of legroom. The seats also recline and they slide forward and back to accommodate the third row if you guys have that option on the 6-cylinder. And getting back here, you can see at 5'7", this is a really nice place to spend time. I love the fact that the panoramic roof gives you all that additional light, and I find plenty of legroom and headroom, and the seats are also pretty comfortable. Shutting the door, you can hear the door sounds nice and solid. My tester also has these nice manual retractable sunshades, beautiful leather stitching, and metal speaker covers here for the Lexicon stereo switch system, which, by the way, the 14-speaker Lexicon audio in this car sounds great. It very much rivals the Bang & Olufsen and Burmester and Harman Kardon ones you'll find in some of its European competitors. Nice rear seat air vents back here as well. Climate control, you have heated rear seats, which is included with the Prestige package, although no cooled seats. I'm surprised that they don't offer that on the 4-cylinder. I believe the 6 offers that. I know you can get it on the Palisade and Telluride, so I'd be surprised to see that Genesis not offer it here on this vehicle. You have another power outlet over here and 2 more USB ports. You have these 2 map pockets here, which is nice. A nice armrest here that folds down that gives you the cup holders that pop out in the armrest. Everything in here just feels really expensive and high quality. And these seats, like I said earlier, they recline from a lever at the bottom of the seat back, and you can see down there beautiful LED accent lighting. So this back seat here is a really nice place to spend time. But if you're looking for a rear seat entertainment system, I don't believe that is available, but most people today just give their kids an iPad. Now, of course, let's take a look under the hood of this 2.5 liter model, because unlike the V6 that I tested back in October, this engine bay obviously has a lot more room in it because it has a 4-cylinder turbo powering it instead of that 3.5 liter V6. Now, another thing you want to notice, the engine is mounted longitudinally. That's because the GV80, remember, is a rear drive platform. This SUV is rear wheel drive standard. If you guys go for all wheel drive, which my tester has, it's around a $4,000 upcharge. I like the fact that the engine bay offers a lot of room in here. It gives you space, of course, for that V6, but this is the 2.5 liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder. It makes 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are down versus the V6 by about 75 ponies, which still makes this pretty potent. This has more horsepower than the naturally aspirated V6s you're going to find in the Infiniti QX60, the Acura MDX, the 2022 model, and of course the Lexus RX 350. It's paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission that is a Genesis and Hyundai design transmission, of course. Rear or all-wheel drive, like I said, is available. My tester with all-wheel drive is ready to get 20 in the city and 25 on the highway. Regular gas is surprisingly the recommended fuel. You don't even have to put premium in this engine. Now, if you guys plan to do some towing, the GV80 will tow a maximum of 6,000 pounds, which is a little bit disappointing considering the rear drive architecture of this vehicle. And curb weight, the GV80 is on the heavier side. It weighs in at around 4,700 pounds. So it amazes me how well Genesis is doing in this segment. I mean, in my week's worth of testing with this car, I've noticed that so many people are constantly eyeing this vehicle. I mean, if you're trying to get a hold of one of these, dealers are charging sticker and up for them because they are just so darn enticing. I mean, even this base 4-cylinder model, I had a chance to drive the V6 version when I was in California a couple months ago, back in October of last year, and I was blown away. I took it on a drive from Southern California up to Northern California, and I was just really, really blown away with how incredibly refined, well balanced, how luxurious, how tech heavy this car is. And now that Genesis has loaned me this vehicle back home for a week, everything that I liked about the V6 is carried over onto this 4-cylinder. The only thing that really makes it you know, feel a little bit less luxurious is the noise of this four-cylinder. I am, however, impressed with the overall acceleration feel. Despite it being down around 75 horsepower to the V6, this four-cylinder pulls, and it pulls extremely hard. Now, I just sampled this powertrain in the Kia K5 GT, and let me tell you, even though this car weighs like another 1,200 pounds more than the Kia, this vehicle moves with authority. 0 to 60 times are around 6.5 seconds for the 2.5T. It is roughly a little over a half a second slower versus the V6 version of this car, which the V6 I would definitely go for in terms of smoothness and refinement, but this 4 is not bad. It offers 311 pound-feet of torque as well. It's got a really quick shifting 8-speed automatic transmission. It is just a real joy to drive this thing. It's better versus the base V6 powertrain that I just sampled in the Acura MDX as well. This has more more horsepower and more torque versus the Acura, and it kind of was. I was wondering why Acura didn't go with their 2-liter turbo in the MDX. I think that this 2-liter or 2.5 turbo Genesis will be enough powertrain for the majority of buyers. It just doesn't have the sound. I mean, it's got a sound symposer technology, so it's amplifying the noise of the four-cylinder through the speakers. It tries to make it sound like a V6, but you'll feel slight vibrations through the pedals of this vehicle, so it reminds you constantly that this is a four-cylinder model. Now, in terms of the ride quality, I also find it to be incredibly smooth. I know Motor Trend in their testing claimed that the ride is harsh on this vehicle, and I just don't agree. Now, granted, my tester has the 20-inch wheels. This Prestige model is supposed to have the 22-inch wheels, but for some reason it only has the 20-inch wheels. So in terms of, you know, the wheels, I imagine that the 22s will make the ride feel a little bit firmer. However, these 20s do a really good job of soaking up the bumps. It just has a really nice controlled ride quality. The structure itself for this vehicle, remember this is a rear drive platform, feels incredibly rigid. It feels incredibly balanced. The weight distribution is near 50-50. It's 51% front, 49% rear, because the four-cylinder is less nose heavy. And even though the GV80 is not the sportier driving of the entries, I mean, go buy a Porsche Cayenne or a BMW X5 to get the sportier driving ones, or the Audi SQ8. This is still a really competent driving luxury SUV. It feels way nicer than the last Lexus RX and Infiniti QX60. The Acura MDX also feels pretty good. However, I believe the Genesis still feels a little bit heavier versus the Acura. The steering in the Genesis is better for me. It has more feedback. It's a little bit heavier feeling. And aside from the soft suspension tuning, you know, this is a really, really nice SUV to daily drive. It's also a really good size. I can feel that this is a little bit smaller than the Acura, and I find that the ride quality, or the smaller size, makes it feel a little bit more maneuverable. Although it doesn't have the torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, this has better steering. And in terms of visibility, I think the visibility is also perfect out of this car. I can see out of the front really well. Good view out of the side. The Genesis full driver assistance suite is standard on every model. This Prestige version also includes the blind view camera system, which whenever I signal right or left, it shows me through the camera under the side mirrors exactly what's in your blind spot. So again, that makes this car feel easier to drive on a daily basis. And I just find everything about it is really nice. The seats are also really comfortable. I'm sitting here getting a massage, which sadly the massage seat feature isn't available on the new MDX yet. Can't even get that on a Lexus RX as well. So again, a lot of features in this vehicle that put it in line with the European entries, but for significantly less money. Wow. The 8-speed automatic is so responsive too. This is a Genesis design transmission. It also includes paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. And even though the 8-speed is down a gear or two compared to its competitors, I find that the 8-speed to be the perfect partner for this powertrain. It's not as quick shifting as the dual clutch that you'll find, of course, in the Sonata N-Line or the K5 GT or the Sorento. However, it's got the smoothness and responsiveness that luxury buyers are going to demand. Now let's try it just from a stop here. We'll just floor it. Again, 6.5 seconds to 60 is plenty quick for a base powertrain. The noise is definitely a little bit synthesized, but you feel a lot of low-end torque in this vehicle, and that's what makes it feel effortless. That's what makes it feel like a luxury SUV. So I find very little to complain about with this GV80. It is, for me, one of my favorite luxury SUVs out there, especially for the price, considering my tester fully loaded with the 4-banger is just under $65,000. And it gets a little bit better gas mileage as well. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged around 20 miles to the gallon in combined city and highway. I got 26 on the highway, pure highway driving, which is not bad. Still could be better. I was hoping to get closer to 30, but this is more efficient than the V6. Genesis just needs to work on improving their fuel efficiency. I'd like to see a hybrid. I'd like to see a plug-in hybrid. I'd like to see a full-on electric model, which they claim it's all coming. But this is seriously one enticing luxury SUV, and you better think twice before buying a Lexus RX, an Acura MDX, an Infiniti, even the German brands. This will make you stand up and take notice. Now, we actually just got nearly a foot of snow here in Pennsylvania, and I have several vehicles. Obviously, this one right behind me is the 2021 Land Rover Defender. This could easily handle the snow. However, I've got that Genesis GV80 out there, and you can see I have not moved it since we had nearly a foot of snow, and the snow plows have definitely been putting snow around it. So I'm gonna see how the all-wheel drive system works on this vehicle and see if we can get it out of this snowbank without actually having to shovel it out. So yeah, let's get started. Now the GV80 has around 8 inches of ground clearance and the company's HTRAC all-wheel drive system. But let me know in the comments below before you guys skip ahead. Do you think this vehicle will be able to get out? I don't know. So we're gonna find out. And we're gonna get out on the road and see how the all-wheel drive system performs out in these conditions. Now I could make this easier and shovel that out, but that would be too easy. So I'm gonna first see if I can get it out of there without shoveling the side part out and see how the all-wheel drive system performs. Don't let me down, Genesis. This is gonna be interesting. And the wiper blades are frozen, so let me quickly pull those out. All right, I have no idea how this is gonna do. But let's give it a try. Parking sensors, turn you off because you're in the way. And traction control is cutting the power. Let's go into reverse. All right, turn off the nannies and the HTRAC parking sensors. That's actually the automatic emergency braking. Wow, automatic emergency braking just wants to keep you from driving into a snowbank. The warnings in here is just ridiculous. All right, clearly this is not going to get out. I had faith in you, Genesis. I kind of knew that it wasn't going to do it, but too much snow. I also don't want to slide the vehicle into the curb because the curb is right next to me. I feel like I could get out of this. This could get out of this. Come on. It's getting stuck right here. All right, it's kind of getting stuck right here. the rear tire is, so. Now, if this car had some good snow tires on it, I have no doubt that it would get through this. But it doesn't. It's got the all seasons on it. Got it. I got it. I got it. Oh, she got it. She got it. Yes. Yes. It took a little bit of all right, it took a little bit of back and forth trying, but I'm impressed with the stock tires. This thing actually pulled out of that embankment. So I was pretty impressed with how the GV80, with a few tries, got itself out of that pretty deep and snow embankment. You saw the snow came up to, you know, just over the bumpers on the front and the rear of this vehicle. This is not designed for those kind of conditions, really, at least not those deep kind of conditions. You really need more ground clearance, you need stickier tires, but it really shows you just how well or how good the Hyundai Genesis, or the Hyundai/Genesis HTRAC all-wheel drive system is. It has the ability to send, you know, up to 90% of the power to the rear in sport mode, but it also creates a nice even torque split between the front and rear axles when you need the traction. And now that we're out on the road with the GV80, I do want to try out the way its system works in just slippery conditions. So let's get over to this little snow area right here. We'll come to a stop and we'll just try an acceleration. The traction control is pretty aggressive on this car. You can see it's cutting all the power. But it does pretty well for itself. Although I'm surprised at how much rear it lets the tail step out. Try the anti-lock brakes. They do a good job again here. It's slowing the car down. I'm going to turn off the traction control here. I want to see how it accelerates here. You know what? I was wondering why this vehicle doesn't have an HTRAC badge on the back. And honestly, this one is not all-wheel drive. I think this is a rear drive model. Although Genesis told me that this is an all-wheel drive model. It says it on the Monroney, it says it on the key tag, but I think this one's actually a rear drive model. Which, if it is, the fact that it got out of that snow embankment, that's very impressive. I think this one is rear wheel drive. There's no way this one is all-wheel drive. It's spinning its back wheels like it's a rear-wheel drive car. Well, don't I feel stupid? I had a hunch this thing was not all-wheel drive because I expected there to be a badge on the back and like a four-wheel drive lock switch here, but that was just my thinking that maybe Genesis just didn't include it on this new model. So yeah, but you know what? The fact that it got out of that, I am very, very impressed. Yeah, this is definitely rear-wheel drive. Definitely rear-wheel drive. An all-wheel drive model would not be stepping out its back end like this. Now, when it comes to buying a luxury vehicle, it is certainly hard to ignore the legacy players. I mean, brand name is very, very much a snobbery thing in the luxury space, and Genesis still has some work to do. However, in the last 4 years, 5 years that they've been on the market, they've really made these very impressive steps. The GV80, as you guys know, is the car, the SUV that a lot of consumers and dealers have been wanting. This is a hot car. If you're looking to buy one of these, it's really tough to find them at dealerships right now, and dealers are charging a premium for them from what I hear. And for what the vehicle is, its overall package, I'm not surprised to see why it's in such high demand. As you guys saw, after spending a week with this model here, even though it's the 4-cylinder, I came away very, very impressed. And I've driven a lot of impressive new luxury SUVs this year. The 2022 Acura MDX is the most recently redesigned one that I tested. And I have to say, the GV80 still is one of my favorites, and trying to pick between the two, it would be a tough choice. I actually probably need to line them up for a comparison, which I'm hoping to do later this year, to compare to see which one is actually the best. Lexus has completely fallen behind until a new RX is coming out. Infiniti is planning to show off a new QX60, of course. And then, of course, there's also the BMW X5, Mercedes-Benz GLE, Audi Q7. The European brands are just significantly more expensive, and that's really the whole point of buying a Japanese brand or a Korean brand like the GV80, because it gives you so much value for money and that killer warranty. Now, speaking of which, this fully loaded 2.5T Prestige stickers in at around $65,000 with destination charge, which does make it a little bit more expensive than a lot of its Japanese competitors, but I would argue that it's definitely worth it. Compare this to a European brand and you're easily saving around $10,000, especially when you have them comparably equipped. Now, should you guys go for a V6 over this 2.5 turbo? Personally, I would, because I like the smoothness and the refinement and the sound of the 6, but really the 4-cylinder is not that much slower, and it gets a little bit better gas mileage. And really, I'm hoping to see Genesis come out with a plug-in hybrid and a full electric version of their SUV. And don't forget, they also have the GV70 coming out. So there's a lot of new products coming from this brand, and even though they are new, I challenge you to not let your brand snobbery get in the way, and make sure you put one of these at the top of your list, because you'll genuinely be very surprised at what Genesis continues to offer. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2021 GV80 with the 4-cylinder. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.